Ministry of Corporate Affairs has given a green signal to the much-awaited NSEL FTIL merger. I don't know if it was much awaited, but it has been in the making for a long while now. Sajid joins us with the details. Sajid, we were expecting the final order from the government on the proposed NSEL FTIL merger in December. It's taken them till February, but now I understand that it has given the go-ahead.
That's right. What we understand is that MCA or the Ministry of Company Affairs has given the final order with respect to the merger of FTIL and NSEL. In the order, which will be a replicate of what the draft said, basically it says that the NSEL has to be merged with FTIL to ensure that the losses made by the NSEL stakeholders are prepaid to them. But I've been speaking to some of my sources in FTIL, and they've been saying that this order of merger is against the concept of limited liability, because FTIL is a limited liability company, and also it goes against the wishes of the shareholders of FTIL. Remember, FTIL came out with a big campaign wherein it asked its shareholders to vote against the government's proposal to merge FTIL with merge NSEL with FTIL, and they've been this campaign led to a lot of heated arguments between the company and the government officials, because the government did not recognize the shareholder votes, because they claim that it came from a single email ID, and hence it wasn't it cannot be recognized. There is a possibility, and we understand that FTIL is exploring a legal recourse against the final order of MCA. So it's not done yet. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's going to be a long drawn battle between FTIL management and the government of India.
It is likely to be a long-drawn battle between FTIL and the government, but let's bring in a voice who's been tracking this story. Mr. S.P. Tulsian also joins us. Mr. Tulsian, we now have confirmation that the government has approved the NSEL FTIL merger. Sajid was pointing out this will, of course, head to the courts, but what do you make of it on the face of it? And ironically, the order for the FTIL NSEL merger had come from the FMC, which was headed by Ramesh Abhishek, and Ramesh Abhishek was meant to be the new SEBI chief, but now he's in the DIPP seat. What do you make of the order, sir?
See, Shireen, I think this order is perfect, and in fact the government has been deliberating on this, and I have to recap the whole judicial proceedings. Already this matter is referred to the judiciary. In fact, it has been referred to CLB, then to the High Court. Because what Sajid has said, that the NSEL is a limited liability company, but if you go into the background, NSEL is a 99.5% or maybe 99.8% subsidiary of financial technology, and this route was just used, the corporate liability or the corporate concept or the limited liability concept or this advantage was just used to circumvent the liability. Because if you really see the entire amount of 5,600 crore having raised by NSEL, National Spot Exchange Limited, has been largely used by the FTIL. So if you go by the company law, that listing of the corporate VL is very much possible, and if the beneficiary for the entire amount, or maybe major portion of the amount has been Financial Technology Limited, they just can't take the stand of limited liability and both being the distinct entity, that is NSEL and FTIL. So I think in the larger interest to protect the interest of the depositors or maybe the investors or maybe the people, those who have contracted on NSEL, this is a fit order having passed by the government, and they should have in fact acted much earlier on this, but better late than never.
Mr. Tulsian, do you expect the investors of NSEL to get the money back soon? Because I think there will be a long legal battle which will come in between the money and the merger.
See, Sajid, if you see the next course of action, that is what I've said, that the liability is 5,600 crore. And if you see out of this 5,600 crore, 13 or 1,400 crore, I don't have that exact figure with me, I'm just giving you the ballpark, was about maybe 1,500 crore was due to FTIL itself. That means once you have merged this company, what we are talking of a net liability of closer to about 4,000 crore.
Yeah.
And if you go into the background, you have seen the attachment, the proceedings have all been handled by the Maharashtra police also, and we have seen the attachment of maybe 6 or 7 creditors of NSEL, but again, there has all been dilly-dallying. So I don't know about the recovery or repayment of those about maybe 3,500, because some of the payment have been made by the company, that is NSEL, to the small depositors and all sort of things. But I have my doubts, because maybe if you really ask me, the next logical move could be then winding up of the Financial Technologies Limited, because once it is get merged, all the liability got assumed in the books of the FTIL, and then if they are not able to pay those liabilities, then next course of action will be the winding up. And if you go by the financial standing or the solvency of FTIL, I don't think that they have that kind of standing or that kind of solvency or that kind of capability to repay the entire amount. And if you really ask me, honestly, I have my doubts, because the amounts which have been attached, or the accounts of the 7-8 creditors have been attached, or maybe the property, they may not be able to realize more than 1,000 crore in any case. So what we are trying to correlate is the repayment of about 4,000 crore, against which we may not be having 1,500 crore. So this is just a cumbersome process, and don't expect the 100% payment likely to get paid to the NSEL depositors. Yes.
That's right, because when there was a committee made by on the back of the High Court, recommended by the High Court, which was supposed to go through and vet all the investors whose money is stuck, and when the committee asked for the KYC, it's only I think 10 or 15% of the total investors who came and gave the KYC to the committee, and the remaining investors did not submit their KYC. So do you think that it's only the 15% investors who submitted the KYC are likely to get the money back unless the entire lot comes and gives a KYC? Because there's a lot of reluctance on behalf of the investors to come and submit the KYC.
See, Sajid, if you go into this matter, the three-member committee was constituted by High Court, which was headed by retired Justice Saga, who was the retired ex-judge of Bombay High Court. And actually, this was wrong in saying that only 15% of the investors have furnished KYC. What information I have, from my sources and all that, in fact, that was the news floated by FTIL just to show that all this money was, if you are for the time being, presume that this is all number 2 money. So FTI will definitely be wanting to circumvent and get escape from this liability. And I have been told that this kind of news was floated and spread by the FTIL, that there are no claimant for all this money, which is all. I don't subscribe to that argument. So because there has been 2 lobby. One is the Association of Depositors of NSEL, and against that FTIL has been working. And in fact, it was very unfortunate to see that one or two prudent, financially wisdom people supporting FTIL. That has been really the unfortunate part. So I don't agree that merely for that presume that they are firstly, I'm not prepared to believe that only 15% of the people have submitted KYC, because there are about more than maybe 5,000 investors, those who have invested in NSEL. I'm not prepared to believe, because I have deliberated with many of the investors.
We've got Mr. Venkat Chary, the former chairman of the MCX, also joining us. Mr. Venkat Chary, appreciate you joining us. We understand now that the government has given the go-ahead for the NSEL FTIL merger. A quick reaction from you, sir.
I've not seen the order, but in any case, the High Court of Bombay had already passed an order many months back saying that in case the Government of India goes ahead and makes the draft order final about the merger, then the order will not take immediate effect. It will not take effect for 15 days. In the meantime, the FTIL is free to move the Bombay High Court, because we had filed a writ petition before the Bombay High Court challenging the draft order. And the High Court
Mr. Venkat Chary, I apologize to interrupt you, sir. I apologize to interrupt you, but we've also got Prashant Desai, the Managing Director of FTIL, now joining us. Mr. Desai, do you have the details of the order that has been passed by the government on the merger?
That's correct. We have it.
Could you share those details with us, sir?
No, the order is a 47-page order, so we are still going through it. We've just received the same. But what I'm saying is
the highlights would certainly help, Mr. Desai, because we don't have access to those 46 pages.
No, highlights are basically they are recommending the merger. It's a final order which says that the two entities should be merged, and they've given the reasons thereof for the merger.
So what is your recourse going to be from here on, Mr. Desai?
I think first of all, we are extremely disappointed with the order. We thought that given the kind of representations that we had made to MCA, we had probably hoped that they will look at it objectively and hopefully withdraw the draft order, which obviously has not happened. Our recourse is very simple. We will be going to the court of law at the earliest, and we are very, very confident that the justice will be done. We believe that it is, as I was explaining to you when I was in your studio last time around, this is not just an interest of FTIL per se. There is a larger interest of India at stake. The order supersedes the concept of limited liability. It puts the interest of so-called trading clients much higher than that of the interest of FTIL shareholders of a listed entity. There are a lot of things. It also takes away the constitutional rights of a shareholder. And I think, if you actually broadly look at it, in our view, and, our view is that this order will set a very, very dangerous precedent somewhere on the lines of a Vodafone or a GAR issue. And we are hopeful that, the court will see, our case in point. You also have to note that, the shareholders of FTIL, the creditors of FTIL, the employees of FTIL and NSEL, everybody has vehemently opposed the merger. We had made our representations. Unfortunately, NSEL has not taken heed to our representations and has gone ahead and, discussed the final order, and therefore we will challenge it in the court of law. And we are hopeful that, justice will be served.
Mr. Desai, you had a cursory reading of the final order. Is the reasons mentioned by the government in the final order same as the reasons mentioned in draft, or are they little different?
More or less, as I said, Sajid, compared to a draft order which was, a few pages, this is a 47-page order. And to that extent, it's a slightly more elaborative order, but the reasons are by and large the same.
What about the representations that you made to the government with respect to the shareholders, decision to vote against the merger? Have they mentioned it in the order?
And of course, they mentioned about all of that. And as I said, the order is currently being going through. While I was going through the order, only your guys reached out to me, so I thought I'll probably use your platform to even share our disappointment with the larger public at large. But all of these are representations have been mentioned, and I'm sure they would have given the reasons why they have not probably looked at our representations. But as I said, Sajid, for us, FTIL comes second, the country comes first, and at many levels, you guys will also have to take a view as to what does this merger order and the kind of precedent it sets. I was, with the last couple of days watching your channel, and if you see the kind of NPAs that are there in the system, why isn't any such executive order being passed against any of these NPAs? Why are we being singled out? In our case, the entire money trail has been established for 24 defaulters. You'll also appreciate the fact that, no such action has ever been taken against a broker or a defaulter, but all actions are only being directed towards FTIL and NSEL. I think all of these things, at a certain level disappoints us.
Mr. Desai, just hang on there. We have Arun Dalmiya, Secretary of NSEL Investment Forum, joining us. Mr. Dalmiya, what is your first reaction to the order?
First of all, I'm really congratulate government of India, especially the BJP government, after it comes that some fraud is been, the fraud like FTIL, they are very clearly mentioned that they are talking about the shareholder. They are not talking about the investor, and they are talking about 15%. They are the way they're saying that only 15% people has given the things that everybody has given by the check. And the NSEL was controlled 99% share, everything controlled by the FTIL. All the profit of the NSEL has been taken by the FTIL. And all the profit during that time when the fraud was taking place, with the help of FTIL chairman Mr. Jignesh Shah and their team, that time all the profit because of the NSEL. They are not seeing that. Income tax had verified everything. And all the investors are alive. They are here. Number of people has made suicide, number of people. And they're thinking government of India is fool or they're idiots. They're sitting over there. They have passed the order. And now they're talking about the NP and all. the way the NPA has been taking place, the way the strict action is government is taking against the defaulter purposely who siphon of money, and he's talking about the Indian reputation internationally, such kind of thing, the action which is taken by the government of India will be appreciated. People will come here to invest. Otherwise, FTIL type of people is there, and their shareholder, all shareholders have been benefited only because of the profit they have made due to fraud. And regarding 24th defaulter, all the KYC, everything done by the NSEL and the FTA, everything has been proved in all the forum.
Mr. Dalmiya, Mr. Prashant Desai says that this order goes against the shareholders of FTIL. What do you have to say on that?
You are talking about the shareholder. So where the investors who has trusted them and invested their hard-earned money, the shareholder has got the dividend. They are used to give dividend every 6 months, 3 months. And all the profit which is shown because of the fraud money. The shareholder, the maximum shareholder, if you see it, the number of shareholders, the maximum shareholding been controlled by some people only. Total shareholder, you see the list of the shareholder, this more than 60% share is controlled by the few people.
Mr. Dalmiya, if that is the case, there was a three-member High Court committee which was formed, and the committee also came out with a press release saying that not all investors came out with a KYC when they were asked to submit one. Why didn't the investors submit the KYC?
I must say that the Income Tax Department has taken away all the papers, relevant papers, and everything given by the check. Can they prove it? If the FTIL is going very seriously to save the fraud in taking the legal way...
That's not answering the question. The question was that why didn't you submit your KYC to the committee which was appointed by the High Court?
Everybody has submitted. Everybody has submitted. The few people, the poor people, they are already lost entire money. Everything has been they lost. Everything, the income tax having every department, everything. If the court people, chief committee of the court can ask the income tax department very well, every detail they are having, every detail. And
Mr. Dalmia,
one more thing. When they have opened the account in NSEL, the investor, they have done all the KYC or not? They have taken the fraud money.
I am going to have to interrupt you, sir. We're completely out of time. Prashant Desai, the final word to you before we wrap up this conversation. You've heard what Mr. Dalmia has to say. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to respond.
Thank you so much. I'm not saying I want to respond to that. I think he is right to have his own view and his own opinion. I'm saying we have the right to our view and our opinion. Ultimately, we will be taking this matter to the court of law, and we are very confident that justice will be served. Thank you.
All right. On that note, we will have to leave it, gentlemen. Arun, Dalmia, Prashant Desai, thank you very much for joining us on the CNBC TV 18 exclusive story.